we asked ourselves the questions, why do we make financial decisions based on emotion rather than logic? We realized that more often than not, we stop thinking when we start spending, and that's why we plan our finances badly.
Welcome to an Encore podcast presentation from Forbes Books at ForbesBooks.com.
The book is called Monkey Money Mind, How to Stop Monkeying Around with Your Money, and the authors are
Angelique Schouten
and
Chris Zadeh.
Angelique and Chris, thank you for joining us. Angelique is the Chief Commercial Officer for the company Open. Chris is the founder and chairman of the board of the company Open. I'm really fascinated with the book, which I devoured, and also how the two of you came to write it, given what you do at Open and the mission of the company. So I want to talk about the company Open for a minute, and then we'll segue to the book itself. And by talking about the company, I want to read something from your website. Open is a ruthlessly effective cloud-based core banking engine. It is built for one purpose only: the efficient administration of retail investment and savings accounts. You two have worked together to build this revolutionary banking system, and then you write a book called Monkey Money Mind, How to Stop Monkeying Around with Your Money. What is the relationship between Open and how we as individuals are monkeying around with our money? Angelique?
Well, thank you. Thanks for having us. I think throughout the years, we've learned the importance of planning and risk-taking when required, and risk avoidance when required. And I think both Chris and I always had to work for what we wanted. And we've built this core banking engine from scratch in an industry that didn't want to change. And we are both fascinated by behavior of people in a professional and personal capacity. And I think because we've developed this core banking engine, it really stimulated us also to look forward and to try to understand people, how they behave. And as we are in the financial services industry, we really want to grasp retail customers. How do they think? And the book has helped us in increasing the understanding on how they think and behave. And those lessons we've also included in the journeys that are underlying of our core banking engine, which is based on new technology and digital processes. So in the end, Chris and I came together, combined our retail experience, which goes decades back, and looked at the psychology behind money and combined it into the book, The Monkey Money Mind.
And Chris, I want to ask you about your own personal relationship with money. How did you grow up? What was your family's relationship with money? How did that transfer to your relationship to money? And how did that help you understand what you're now calling the Monkey Money Mind and to help you succeed with the company Open?
Well, there was no relationship with money because we didn't have any.
But that is also a relationship with money, right? I mean,
yes,
if you don't have it,
yes.
You're still having a relationship with it.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I mean, I grew up with my mother, and I saw that she had a lot of problems putting steaks on the table. So she had to work really hard to make some money to provide for me and my brother. My dad didn't pay any alimony, and there was no family to support us. And I saw her struggle, and my thought was, I don't want to have the same problems with money that she had. So actually, my first job at a very young age was that I started working for a stockbroker in the Netherlands before all these internet capabilities. So I just bought and sold shares for retail customers in the Netherlands. And I saw with my own eyes the mistakes that people made, the emotional decisions. So actually from a young age, from when I was 18 years old, I started being interested with behavioral finance. And I did this job for almost 14 years. And when the internet came, we actually automated all of the things and the processes that were done by hand before the internet. And after doing this for 14 years, I thought I had enough knowledge to start a little bit writing about it. And when I talked with Angelique about it, yeah, we had a little bit of a similar interest. And so it's actually when we started with this book, we had about 15 to 18 years of retail experience. And so I just thought, let's write some things down to help people.
And Angelique, talk to us about your relationship with money when you were young, with your family, as you were growing into becoming an adult, and how that helped to shape the book Monkey Money Mind, How to Stop Monkeying Around with Your Money.
Well, that's the thing that I share with Chris. I come from a family that was very entrepreneurial, but then my parents got a divorce and my father left with all the money. and my mother had to take care of my sister and myself. So I learned from a very, very young age that you have to work if you want something, whether it's planting leeks or strawberries, any job I would take to make sure that we could provide. Then it was time to go to college, and I had to borrow money, a student loan, to get me through university. And I ended up with 100,000 euros, which is a little bit over $100,000 in student debt. So I experienced a bad financial situations firsthand. But I overcame this by making a solid debt plan. I was very, very strict and very structured, and I was able to repay that student debt. And I felt liberated when I sorted out my own situation. But during that time, I saw behavior in myself, but also my friends and family. And I combined that with the professional experience I built up. And Chris and I, we read a lot. We devour books. And we've noticed that all these books are telling us what to do. Stop doing this. You're doing this wrong. You have to change this. So we don't want to point fingers at people, because everybody makes mistakes and everybody can learn and change if you provide them the insights. And that's really what we wanted to do with this book.
I love the way you describe that, because first of all, you talked about how you both devour books. I devoured this book. And what I loved about it is exactly what you just said. It actually set me on a path of self-discovery, not just about the money I have in my wallet, my bank account today, but even to look back, which is why I asked both of you about your past, to look back at the things that have shaped my relationship with money, because if I don't understand that, it's going to be very difficult for me to actually build a different future. So with that in mind, Angelique, I want you to talk about the title itself, Monkey Money Mind. What do you mean by that?
The title of the book, Monkey Money Mind, is actually a hybrid of two concepts. First, the psychological factors that influence our financial decisions and how we decide to handle our money. And secondly, the Buddhist concept of monkey mind, and that is the presence within us that remains restless, that makes us doubt, criticize our decisions. And throughout our years of experience, as Chris just mentioned, personal and professional, we observe both in ourselves, but also the people around us when it comes to money. So we think we are being rational, and it's all about numbers, but more than often it's not. The decisions we make are emotional. And it's a constant battle between the state of mind, our passions, emotions, our intellect, and our thoughts, ideas, and opinions. And that is what the concept is about the monkey money mind and the monkey mind. And we want to focus on how do we look beyond these desires of the immediate moment and make room for more rational decisions that will build us a better financial future.
As you were writing the book, did you start with the title Monkey Money Mind in mind? Or did you come to the realization that there was this analogy between monkeys and humans when it comes to money? And have you had anyone push back and say, don't compare me and my relationship to money to a monkey?
Well, when we decided to write the book, it was actually my wife that came up with the title, because we all do a lot of yoga and meditation. And in yoga and meditation, the monkey mind is something that we talk a lot about. I mean, you're in your mind, you go from left to right, from up to down. So you have this monkey mind, and it's difficult to stop your mind. And meditation helps stopping the mind and becoming more calm. So actually, when I told my wife about I want to write this book, then actually she immediately said, well, why don't you call it Monkey Money Mind? Because it is exactly that. So sometimes it takes months and months to think of a title or a name, but actually this was just a couple of minutes. She just at the dinner table said, if you want to write this book, you should call it Monkey Money Mind. And that was it.
And I think that was spot on. And with your question, like, do we get pushback? Not at all. And if you look at the facts, there are studies that show that we are more related to our furry friends than we thought. And only a few shreds of DNA separates humans from apes. So we share more than 96% of our genetic composition with them. And the funny thing is that the difference between a rat and a mouse is actually bigger than between a human and an ape. So we both share social complex structures. And I think in the end, the psychology, why we behave and our consciousness is what sets us apart. So I think it was a very relevant title, and I think that the wife of Chris was brilliant in coming up with exactly a title that covers the load of the book.
It also enabled you, I understand, to give all the proceeds from your book to an organization called the Guerrilla Organization. Can you talk about why you are doing that and tell us about the Guerrilla Organization and the work they do?
Of course. Well, Chris and I, we both love nature, and we knew from the beginning that if we did this project, we wanted to have all the proceeds go to charity. But there are so many great causes out there that need attention. We thought it had to be connected with nature and somewhat to the theme of the book. So when we did our research, we realized that mountain gorillas are actually a very endangered species. And like we mentioned before, they're very similar to us. It just clicked. And we met up with the Gorilla Organization and the executive director, Gillian Miller. And she's been our main contact point from the start. She has helped us arrange interviews with Dr. Ian Redmond, who is the chairman and actually worked with Diane Fossey and was a consultant on movies in The Gorilla and the Mist. So she was very pivotal in getting this project on the way, and it was really a community-focused charity. So they support the local habitat, they stimulate friendly tourism, sustainable agriculture, education for women and girls, they help to support the rainforest rangers. So all these different projects really related to what Chris and I believe in and wanted to support. So every proceed will go to the Guerrilla Organization.
And obviously, if we want to find out more about the book, we can go to the website for the book, monkeymoneymind.com. But you also have a lot of information there about the Guerrilla Organization as well.
Yes, we do. We really want to emphasize that the proceeds go to the charity, and Chris and I fully support that.
Well, in fact, on the website for the book, monkeymoneymind.com, on Twitter at monkeymoneymind, and also on Facebook at monkeymoneymindbook. On the website, you ask this question we all should be asking ourselves. And the question is, why do we stop thinking when we start spending? What are your thoughts on that?
Maybe I can answer that, because the actual tipping point to actually write the book was my mother. My mother had a savings account with $10,000, and she had a loan of $10,000. And she got 1% on the savings account, and she pays 10% interest on the loan. And I said to her, Mom, this makes no sense at all. If you think about it rationally, you know I'm right, because you have to pay 9%. You have 10,000 on one side, 10,000 on the other. You pay for this 9%. You can better take the 10,000 in your savings account and pay off the debt. You'll make more money. And the first thing she said was, I am not touching my savings. She does not want to touch her savings. I said, but you are. So rationally, she understands that it makes no sense to have a loan of 10,000. So she has a debt of 10,000 and she has an asset of 10,000. But for some strange reasons, her monkey mind is playing with her, because rationally she understands the concept that it's costing her 9% a year. So it's actually costing her $900 a year. But emotionally, she just can't do this. And to this day, she still has this. And when I started making a little bit money, I actually wired the 10,000 to her, because I said, you have to pay off this debt. And then she wired it back and she said, I'm not accepting money from you. So still to this day, she has a $10,000 debt and a $10,000 savings account, and she's not touching that. And it just blows my mind. And when we started talking with people, so Angelique and I also interviewed people, what do you do? And how do you do it? And then we saw all these very irrational decisions that made no sense at all. And that's how we thought, yeah, let's write about that and let's show people, maybe we can influence people to make smarter decisions.
As you were describing your mother there, I had this vision of her literally holding on to that money with a fist and unwilling to let it go to get something even better.
I think if you look, we smoke, we drink, we jaywalk, we speed, we text and drive. Some people even drink and drive. So I think the main question is, why do all these irrational things that are emotionally driven happen? Why do we do that? And what Chris said, we asked ourselves the questions. Why do we make financial decisions based on emotion rather than logic? we realize that more often than not, we stop thinking when we start spending. And that's why we plan our finances badly. So we assign value to money based on context and emotion. And this has an enormous influence on spending habits. Actually, we talk about it in the book a little bit because that's known as mental accounting. And we value different things at different moments based on context and emotion. And I think that's the reason why we stop thinking when we start spending.
And while we're talking about that, one chapter in the book, making sense of how we use our cents, C-E-N-T-S, so not your senses, but the dollars and cents, making sense of how we use our cents. What do you mean by making sense of how we use our cents?
Well, that is actually the introductory chapter of the book, and it introduces the concept of the monkey money mind and explains how the book presents scientific and psychological research focused on concepts like mental accounting, the denomination effect, decision paralysis, loss aversion, etc. And we explain why we behave in certain ways when handling our finances. And as we didn't want to write another book, You're Doing It Wrong, we both think that before you can make any change, you need to understand where your behavior is coming from. And once you understand how your emotions play a part in your financial decisions, you'll have more sense when it comes to managing your cents. So in that chapter, we decided we wanted to share our personal stories, our lessons learned, success stories, but also to introduce the concept that we are asking experts and celebrities. I'll give you an example. We've interviewed Professor Dr. Harry Markovich, who is a Nobel Prize winner in economics, and he speaks about the value of rebalancing, cautious investing, and rational decision making. He has a very big mind. He also speaks about following your passion, and he learned it also at a very young age. He was 9 years old. He worked at a shop of his family. And with the money he earned, he would walk 9 miles to downtown Chicago, where he would spend his money on used books. He started with philosophy books, and then his interest spilled into the economics. And in the end, that decision, what he did with his cents in the beginning, led to his bigger understanding and actually winning the Nobel Prize for economics. So all these celebrities share their experience, their lessons learned, their success stories. And he's just an example of many more that we've interviewed for the book. So if you look at that introduction chapter, making sense of how we use our cents, it's really laying the foundation for the whole approach of this book.
Sometimes people ask me, it's easier for you to save money, right? Because now you make a little bit more money, and so it's easier for you. And then my first question to those people, so what is the first thing you do when you walk out of the door, when you go to the office? They say, well, I go to Starbucks and I get a coffee and I go to my office. And I said, okay, so you're paying every day, you're spending $3-4 on a cup of coffee. You work 20 days, right? So that's about 80 a month. So that's about 1,000 a year. So that's about 10,000 in 10 years. So there are very easy ways with small payments to actually make money or save money. But the strange thing is, it's so easy rationally to do that, to just make your own coffee in the morning, and people still have difficulties in changing their behavior, changing their patterns, and changing their mindset. And they don't do it. And those are very strange things, because if I tell you rationally that by not going to Starbucks every morning, you'll make 10,000 in 10 years. Or smoking. Instead of saying to people, smoking will kill you, you can also say, not smoking will make you a millionaire. If you start smoking at 20 and you smoke until that you're 70, and that's 50 years, right? And that's like $5 a day. So it's a lot of money if you compound that. So those are interesting examples of very easy ways to make money if you can have your mind go on the rational side and actually make these rational decisions and not emotional decisions.
Exactly. In another chapter where the money or monkey money mind is missing, we talk about another concept called inattentional blindness. Because our monkey money mind chooses what information it wants to process. And that means that sometimes we miss things that are right under our nose. For example, our daily spends. On your way to work or school, you buy that coffee as we just discussed, or you buy a smoothie, you buy a sandwich. And Greg, have you heard of the latte factor?
No.
Well, David Bach actually introduced us to the latte factor in his book, Start Late, Finish Rich. If you buy that coffee for $5 a day, it doesn't seem like much, but small costs add up really quickly, especially considering that per month you would spend roughly $150, and after 10 years, $30,000, and after 50 years, that 5 morning coffee adds up to $2.5 million. So that doesn't mean that you shouldn't buy coffee anymore, but it helps you to treat your money as though you worked for it, every last bit of it, every cent. So before you buy anything, quantify the cost of that item versus how much you had to work for it. How many hours of work does that coffee cost, or that new handbag, or that great smoothie? And then think of it. After 50 years, would your monkey money mind be happy that you spent $2.5 million on your $5 morning coffee?
Or you'd have an extra $2.5 million to spend in retirement. I think I know where I would prefer to be.
Same here. I would travel the world.
The book is Monkey Money Mind, How to Stop Monkeying Around with Your Money. Again, the website is monkeymoneymind.com, on Twitter @monkeymoneymind, on Facebook @monkeymoneymindbook. I want to ask one last question to wrap this up, and I want to bring it back to your company, Open. And I'm wondering, now that you've written the book and learned what you have and used the book for your own self-discovery about yourselves and your relationship with your money, I'm sure there was also a lot of discovery about others and their relationships with money. How have you taken what you've learned from writing the book and poured it back into the company to make your company a better organization?
Actually, from the start of the company, we offer a core banking system to banks. So retail banks are our customers. And they make their own products. Right? They make savings products, investment products, robo-advice products. And what we've tried to do from day one is actually help them make better products. So Angelique and I, when we talk to our clients, and when they want to make a product on our system, sometimes we say, are you sure that it should be like this? Shouldn't you change the product and make it like this? Or shouldn't you add something to the product? So what we're trying to do is actually help our clients make better financial products for their customers. And sometimes it helps, and they say, oh, that's a great idea, then thank you. And sometimes they're saying, this is my job, I decide what I make for my clients. So that's what we're trying to do. We try to show them sometimes that a product that they're making is not in the best interest of a consumer. And we try to show examples and prove it with scientific facts. And it's not our personal, as a company, we get the same money and the same turnover, whatever product they make. But we find it as our own personal belief that financial products should be better for consumers. So we use the knowledge we had in the past and the extra knowledge that we had with the book to try to help our clients, persuade them to make better financial products for the end consumer, for people like you and me.
And in the end, that is what counts. It doesn't matter if you're a bank, an asset manager, an insurance company, a pension fund. In the end, we all work for a retail customer. And it is our goal to really develop the best core banking engine in the end to support those retail customers. And also we challenge our clients who use our software, as Chris mentioned, to make sure that they enable clients to become financially healthy and to manage their money in the way that they can.
Or should. What I mean with should is that we also think that financial institutions have a responsibility to help the end consumer, to make products that will help them reach their financial goals. And because of our own background, we really want our clients to make good products. And sometimes we say, hey, listen, you shouldn't do it like this. The price is wrong, or this will have confirmation bias in it. You shouldn't do it. Tweak it like this, change it like this, and you'll see it will be a better product. And that's what we're trying to do on a personal level. That's what Angelique and I add to the company.
The company we're talking about is Open. It's ohpen.com. They call themselves a ruthlessly effective cloud-based core banking engine that liberates banks from their legacy systems and processes. And it's really clear in this conversation that for all of your clients, and obviously for you at Open as well, that when consumers are more effective at stopping their own monkeying around with their money, everybody wins. You win because your clients win, And your clients win because their clients, the retail customers, win. It's really, the book is fascinating. I couldn't put it down once I started reading it. I made so many discoveries about myself, and I'm in the process of making changes in my relationship and my thinking about money. I want to thank you both for writing it. I want to thank you both for joining us. Angelique is the Chief Commercial Officer. Chris is the founder and chairman of the board at Open. Again, it's ohpen.com. The book, again, is Monkey Money Mind, How to Stop Monkeying Around with Your Money. The website for the book is monkeymoneymind.com. On Twitter for the book, at Monkey Money Mind, and on Facebook for the book, at Monkey Money Mind Book. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this Encore podcast presentation from Forbes Books at forbesbooks.com.